Being a Longhorn is opportunity, pride, achievement, community, safety. Being a Longhorn is a choice to become a hero, to lead, to thrive in any setting. Being a Longhorn means immersing yourself in fine arts, learning at your own pace in Montessori, starting your path to college in elementary, earning a college degree in high school. The pride of being a Longhorn lives on long after graduation. Educate, empower, inspire.
Good evening, Cedar Hill ISD families. My name is Alicia Davis, Director of Family and Community Engagement with the district, and we are here with our 16th Digital Parent University. This one is on the ARD and IEP process for parents, and we have our special education staff here to present this presentation to you. Now, we do have an upcoming session on the 30th, which is going to be our assessments part 2. At that time, we will go over some changes that will take place when it comes to the tests that our scholars will be taking. And here tonight, we have 3 wonderful panelists and presenters. We have Ms. Alva Walker, who is the Executive Director of Special Education. We have Ms. Derica Turner. She is the Mainstream Resource and Inclusion Coordinator. And then we have Ms. Katrina Lemons. She is an art facilitator. All right. And now we will go ahead and start the presentation. And I think this is Ms. Turner, I think. Or is it Ms. Lemons? Ms. Lemons? Okay. And we'll go ahead and start with the video. All right. So we're going to start with the video to kind of explain what the IEP process is.
The IEP, or Individualized Education Program, is a written document that spells out your child's learning needs, the services the school will provide, and how progress will be measured. Before an IEP can be written, your child must be eligible for special education. Please review the eligibility video for more information on these requirements. Creating an effective IEP takes time, effort, and patience. The more you know about the process, the better you can advocate for your child. The term IEP is often used interchangeably to mean the formal document, as well as the meeting in which it is discussed. To avoid confusion, it's helpful to refer to this written document as the IEP and the meeting as the IEP meeting or annual review. Let's begin with a discussion on who attends the IEP meeting.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you today. So as the short video explained, it gave us a brief overview on what exactly an IEP is. And if I had to make that even more plain, it is a plan. It is a legally binding plan that everyone on your student's educational team must abide by. And to develop that plan, it involves different voices and perspectives as they get an opportunity to view your students' data or information about their progress and performance in different categories. In the IEP, it is also reflective of grade level TEKS or learning standards for your students, prerequisite skills for those students who, because of their eligibility, they are receiving the same grade level TEKS, but they're receiving it in prerequisite form. And also, it not only covers the academic needs and progress measures for your student, but also functional performance, and also in some cases as needed, because we really focus on the I in the IEP for individualized. So it can also refer to their social skills as well as self-care. At this time, I'm going to segue to Ms. Turner, who's going to elaborate on who should attend these IEP meetings or ARD meetings.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As Ms. Lemon said, we have a plethora of individuals who may be invited and attend the ARD, and as you can see, they are listed here. We want to make sure that you know every person's voice that is a member of this committee is an equally important voice, and so You'll see across the screen, we have our regular education teachers. Those are our staff members who serve as the teacher of record for your scholar. And they're going to talk about the curriculum. They're going to provide information about the students' grade level participation in the general education setting. Of course, you would have an administrator who is there to rep a school administrative representative. It could be the principal or the assistant principal. Here in Cedar Hill, we often have art facilitators. Ms. Lemons is one of our art facilitators who will move throughout the meeting and keep the agenda rolling. Of course, you as the parent are a vital member and you would attend in order to discuss some information about the child's home life and things that are happening that can contribute to their needs. The student, if they are of age, would also be able to attend, and it is up to the parent. I want to make sure that we note that it is up to you to decide if you want your scholar to attend if they are younger than that age of 17. Special education teacher will also attend as the case manager. They're going to speak directly to the individualized education plan that is in place. They're going to talk about their progress and their goals and objectives, the accommodations that are being put forth. They're also going to talk about any specific needs that are being addressed for that scholar as a supplemental service. Anyone who is an evaluation staff member, we have occupational therapy, we have physical therapy, we have speech therapists, we have dyslexia teachers. We also have school psychologists who may attend and interpret any evaluation results for the scholar. And then there are others who may be attending as needed. Sometimes we have, as you can see on the screen, sometimes you may see an advocate who is speaking on behalf of the family just to support and make sure that our local education agency is providing the accommodations and support that is listed in the IEP. And now we're going to move on to parent readiness.
So that was a short video prepared and available from spedex.org, which provides various online resources to help support families of special education students. So when we look at an ARD meeting, we have to look at each of those letters. They stand for a very specific purpose that has to do with the development of that IEP for your student. When we have an ARD meeting, we're either admitting a student into special education, we are reviewing the student's current eligibility, any assessment information, updating progress on their goals and as well as objectives, or we're dismissing the student from special education services. And in all of that, in every meeting, at the core, of course, is the student, at the core is data, and at the core is all of those voices that Ms. Turner talked to us about when she went through who makes up the ARD decision committee. And so even though right now our ARDs are happening virtually, when we were in person, and it can even happen on a video conference that could have up to 9 and 10 people, it can be overwhelming because you have so many people, and quite honestly, some you may not have met ever in person, or you may not have had previous extensive conversations with. And so it's good to have a plan, or at least have an approach to when you're coming to the ARD as a parent, because we want you to be informed. We do not want you to feel overwhelmed, and we want to be sure that if there are any concerns that you bring them to the ARD. So we look at the purpose, and again, it's to develop an appropriate IEP. So when we have those ARD meetings, those are not the same as conferences that you may have with a specific teacher or other member of the school personnel. For example, ARD is all about the IEP. It's all about what is being done, what accommodations are being done for your student, and if they're successful or not. But when we talk about a parent conference, that is if there is a concern about how your students should be submitting their assignments in Schoology if they are a virtual student, or you want to address another topic that is specific to the campus or even to the district that is not related to the IEP. So, and also remember that Ms. Turner went over the people who attends, but a general education teacher is always going to be present at your student's ARD meeting. However, that might not be the person that you've been trying to get in touch with, or vice versa, over the period of a grading cycle. So you want to be sure that you know the difference between the two so that all meetings and conversations can be purposeful. Okay. So at this time, we're going to segue to Mrs. Walker, and she's going to give us some information within the legal framework.
Good evening again. So we have a legal framework, and it is housed under our Educational Service Center 18. So if you are ever Googling or you need to have access to it, you can just put in legal framework for Texas and it'll pop up. It's under Region 18. Legal framework comes up with a way to correlate our district policies and procedures with the state, local, and federal laws as it pertains to a student with disabilities. And so one of the things that under the Texas Education Code, we were required to create a easily understood document that explains the IEP process. Because as a parent of a student with disabilities, sometimes we can be overwhelmed with just information that what is important for me to know, what is important for me to be able to ask questions about. And so one of the things that we're obligated to is to have a parent guide to the admission, review, and dismissal process. Ms. Lemons told you guys previously about the ARD process. And so here in Texas, we call it ARD. But if you go to any other state in the U.S., it's an IEP meeting, because there are only 3 types of meetings for students with disabilities: admission, review, and dismissal. You can't have all 3 at one time. You can only have one of the 3 at a time. And so we have this guide that basically facilitates the parent through the process of understanding, okay, my student is eligible up under one of the 13 eligibilities for special education. My student, based on their eligibility, has a need for specifically designed instruction. Well, what does that mean to me as a parent? It means that we go through this IEP process and we create a individualized education plan for our baby. And I'm saying our baby because I share your children and I love it. And so we come up with this plan for our students so that we can guide them through their growth. This is almost like a growth guide. And so that parents' rights tells you what are your rights as a parent of a student with disabilities. It tells you about the timelines, because we're under specific timelines. We can't drag our feet. We can't wait all year. We have timelines for everything that we do for a student with disabilities. And so the timelines would be from the initial evaluation phase to the annual ARD meeting. It has to happen once a year within a year of the date of the time of the last meeting. And so that tells you about your parental rights. And then the next thing that we talk about in the ARD book is, the ARD guide or the ARD process is your rights as a parent of a student with disabilities. And we often call those procedural safeguards. So when you get that parent guide, you're going to get your procedural safeguards too. I never, ever talk to a parent without saying, can I explain to you your rights? Because I want to know, I want my team to display it. I want every parent in our school community to understand that we are a collaborative team that works together, and you do have rights as a parent of a student with disabilities. Just like the literature said, it is intended to be a companion document with the procedural safeguards. It is supposed to go hand in hand. So once we tell you your rights as a parent of a student with disabilities, then we tell you, hey, this is what it looks like in an ARD meeting. And I could talk on and on and on about this, but if you have any questions, you can always contact our district office directly.
All right, so that is a perfect segue into the procedural safeguards. And so Ms. Davis is scrolling through this lovely document. It's quite lengthy, but this identifies your rights and responsibilities in a clear, concise document about federal law. So the school is required to give you the notice of your procedural safeguards once a year, but there are a few exemptions. And so you're going to receive your procedural safeguards if there is an initial evaluation or initial referral, meaning that you are wanting to refer your scholar to be evaluated for special education services. You would also receive it if there is a special education complaint that is filed with TEA. We hope that that never happens, but in the event, we will provide you with those procedural safeguards. You will also receive a copy of your procedural safeguards if there is a due process hearing for a complaint in a school year. And also, if we are having to make a decision about a disciplinary action that we have to hand down to a scholar. The great thing that we do here in Cedar Hill ISD is every time you receive an invitation, a notification, any type of invite for an ARD committee meeting, you receive a copy of your procedural safeguards. It is attached to that invitation. And we also are communicating to all of our case managers that when they do those friendly reminders, when they reach out to you, just like Ms. Walker said, we are all trained and we have that tagline, have your rights been explained to you, and do you have a copy of the procedural safeguards? In addition to that, would you like for me to go over them? These are lengthy documents, as you can see, so we want to make sure that you are aware. We give you a copy of them, but we will also give you an opportunity to have them explained to you. And then we're going to move down to just some online resources that we have available for you all.
And family, we will have these links available on our CHISD Special Education website. This is the link to the Education Service Center 18 that has the legal framework. And all these links will be made available probably Monday at the latest. The Texas Project First is a website that was developed for parents similar to SpedTex, and so this will be available to you guys as well.
I had to unmute myself. I'm having some problems with my mouse, excuse me. Okay. Just wanted to go through all of them so at least they can see. My mouse is not functioning.
Thank you so much, Alicia.
And of course, your site. So this is probably where they will be under resources, probably.
Right.
Here. We'll make sure we get them added.
Yes.
All right, so this is the time where we are going to take questions that were submitted through Thought Exchange. There were some questions that were submitted, so we will go ahead and start with those. And then after the Thought Exchange question and answer session, we will take your questions live from YouTube and Facebook. Okay. All right, so the first question is, can the diagnostician make sure all attendees are available for the ARD so that the ARD does not have to get rescheduled for missing attendees? Maybe Ms. Walker can address that.
Yes, so your question was, can the diagnostician ensure that all members of the ARD IEP meeting are available for the ARD meeting? So it's a collaborative effort. The ARD committee works together. So this one task is not just given to the educational diagnostician. So we phone a friend if we need to. The administrator finds the teacher. The notices are sent out initially by the diagnostician. That very first notice is sent out by the diagnostician. And then after that, the case manager, because we want our case managers to have a very working and viable relationship with the students that they serve, they send out the second and third notices, and they can remind their colleague in the field, their gen ed teacher, hey, we have an art meeting coming up, or their CTE teacher. But we work collaboratively as a team. It's a team effort, so it's not just the sole job of the educational diagnostician. We work collaboratively with that.
All right, thank you, Ms. Walker. All right, the second question reads, can ARDs be scheduled weeks out and parents get that notice weeks out?
Okay, so our meetings are scheduled annually. They're annual ARDs, and so those are usually called review. We do have our own colloquialism or jargon that we use in Texas, and so we have them. We call them annual meetings here in Texas. They are usually scheduled 7 to 15 days ahead of the due date time, just so that, for instance, what we just experienced 2 weeks ago, aka I call it Snowvid. Those ARDs were scheduled at least 15 days in advance so that they wouldn't be out of compliance. So ARDs can be scheduled up to best practices, 15 school days in advance. But yes, they can be scheduled in advance. And what we do now collaboratively, the educational diagnostician looks at her calendar, works collaboratively with our art facilitators, because another function of the art facilitators are compliance specialists. So they remind them. Ms. Lemons, is one of her duties is to send a monthly report to remind them of upcoming ARDs or ARDs that were due, to make sure that we stay and maintain compliance.
Thank you. All right, next. It says ARDs are now virtual. Can parents receive all documents prior to the meeting so we can have those to look off of during the ARD?
Yes. Okay, so it was the decision of myself to continue to have virtual ARDs this entire school year, just as a good practice as we navigate through our new normal of COVID times. And it would eliminate additional contact tracing of having so many extra people in the building. So we do the ARDs virtual. One of the things that we have as our best practice, or one of the things that is a non-negotiable for my team, is to draft the IEP goals and objectives and submit a drafted copy of those IEP goals and objectives to the parents at least 5 days before their ARD meeting at the least. For initial ARDs, the educational diagnostician calls the parent and do a review to talk to them about what we're going to talk about in this meeting, since it's the first meeting and this is a very sensitive subject. And so we want the parents to trust some our professional judgment as it pertains to students with disabilities. So yes, they can be given out, but I do want to let our families know that the ARD committee meeting is a live meeting collaboratively, that there's not a one-person show. It should be a collaborative effort of all stakeholders that are a part of the ARD IEP process. So the only things that we draft and send home in advance are the goals and objectives, the students' present levels of academic achievement and functional performance, and recommended accommodations. Excuse me.
And the last question submitted via Thought Exchange is, can a parent request more than one ARD in a year?
I think Ms. Lemons explained that. Yes, a parent can have more than one ARD a year, but we want to make sure that what we're discussing are going to be ARD committee decisions and not parent conference decisions, because sometimes a mom just needs to talk to a parent and get some clarification on the expectation in that class. However, we go to ARD and if we're not making any decisions that deals with that kid's academic or functional services that are put in place based on their need for specifically designed instruction, we really just had a parent conference. So yes, a parent has the ability to call a ARD, but one of the things that we're working on is to ensure that we provide premium customer service. So before we get to the ARD meeting, if there is some concerns of the parent, we can be able to navigate through that, and everything can be fixable or can be approached with the mindset that what is best for the baby, what is best for our scholar, what is best to make sure that this child is academically and functional, successful to the maximum extent of his appropriateness. And I know that that's verbose in wording, but that what is best for the kid is what we really work on. And so we have those conversations, we build those relationships with those parents. And so we tell them, hey, yeah, there's something to go to ARD for. We need to sit down. We need to revamp those goals. They're not appropriate. He's not doing well. Yes. So it's not a problem if a parent makes that request, but we navigate them through the difference of an ARD meeting and a parent conference.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right, and now we will open it up to questions from YouTube as well as Facebook. I do currently see, let me change this banner. Okay, there we go. I do currently see one question being asked on YouTube. This is from Christy. It states, with being virtual, how can parents support their scholars who have IEPs, meaning accommodations?
Okay.
Anyone who would like to take that?
I can start and then segue to Ms. Turner. And I do want to give a disclaimer. We serve at the discretion of where we're needed in the district, on which campuses that we partner, in which capacities. Primarily at this time, I've been working primarily with secondary scholars. But I will say the number one thing that parents can do to support their scholarship IEPs is to help them to be engaged, to help them to work within the family schedule and the family's resources to log in regularly, because that's very, very, very important. And also with the accommodations, with the more that the parent knows and understands about the scholars accommodations, the more that they can monitor through discussions with the scholar, or maybe even what they see as they're able to observe their scholar in the virtual learning. In terms of like, okay, if a scholar is getting inclusion support, making sure that that scholar is logging on to participate in Google Meets opportunities and office hours that the teachers on their schedule or their case manager or their inclusion co-teacher that they have available for the student. If the scholar is encouraged, structured reminders, implementing those at home, highlighting different passages or different tools, different passages or different strategies that teachers have developed as part of that student's IEP. So it's really going to depend on the more aware and knowledgeable the parent is, and the better the parent has understanding. And those conversations can happen even after the ARD, through conversations with case managers. Then they will know how to support and encourage the scholar at home. And so I'll segue to Ms. Turner at this time.
Yes, and then just in addition to that, we definitely want to make sure that our parents are advocating. Of course, you are the number one advocate for your scholar, but in a virtual setting, you all have the ability, of course, make sure you have those accommodations close to you. But as you are monitoring their Schoology accounts, as you are seeing, let's just say there may be work coming home, or there's things coming across virtually, and look out for those codings. Look out to see if you have an opportunity for that scholar to receive oral administration. Whatever those accommodations are, you want to double check to make sure that you're seeing any evidence that those are provided by the teacher. And if the teacher, the general education teacher, or the case manager. And so you want to make sure that you're communicating and staying in constant communication with the campus case manager and the general education teacher to make sure that those accommodations are being followed through. And if there is a concern, you want to make sure that you're reaching out so that the case manager can address those needs, as well as give the teacher an opportunity to adjust. There are just some things that when we're working with the scholar, when it's virtually, they may have to upload some virtual tools. And we have provided for our teachers virtual accommodation tools to use so that they're not having to navigate trying to find hands-on ways. We have manipulatives that are uploaded through our Chromebooks and in the Schoology app that are provided so that they can use those accommodations. So reach out to that case manager and make sure that the scholar knows how to use those accommodations while they're providing instruction.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, now we do have another question. This is from Facebook, from Chastity. It states, how is the district ensuring that scholars are getting their recommended hours for therapy, such as speech?
Okay, so one of the things is determined through the ARD IEP process is the recommendation of amount of time for therapy. Speech is not a related service; it's instructional. I know for many years we thought it was thought as a related service, but it's an instructional service. And so one of the things that this year we're offering with our speech language pathologists is an opportunity to do teletherapy. So some of their services are virtual. So they're doing teletherapy. When we were still at the close at the beginning of the year, we did walk-in services. We still have walk-in services for our virtual students. So if you are a virtual student and you receive speech services and you have an eligibility and a need for direct support via speech therapy and you're virtual, you can be a walk-in speech therapy. They do it teletherapy, so it's online through the Google Meets. They have availed themselves in various ways. I hope that answered your question, Ms. Sullivan.
Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Lacey, for the question.
All right, so I don't see any other questions right now, but we are here for a little while longer. I don't know if anyone has anything that they would like to share, perhaps in closing, maybe not, just depends on if we get more questions. But if you have anything you would like to share with our viewers, feel free to do so. If you do you?
So I would like for you guys to get ready because April is National Autism Awareness Month. And so we will be kicking off some amazing things for Autism Awareness Month, as well as March is Identified Day. Now, we celebrated Down Syndrome Awareness in October, but Down Syndrome Awareness Day is March 22nd, I believe. And so we will be having a celebration for that particular day. But I would like y'all to get ready for a big kickoff for autism awareness. We support and celebrate our students in their different learning modalities and abilities. But we want to highlight some of the great things that are available for our students that have autism. So get ready. April is Light It Up Blue, and we plan to light the entire city up blue. So if nothing else, I'm Alva Walker. I'm the Executive Director of Special Education. I am literally a phone call away. I do take all calls and emails. So if you would like to call, if you have any questions, I avail myself to you. We are on the same team, and that team is called Team Kid, your kid. So we're on the same team for your kid. And so we celebrate the opportunities. Thank you, Ms. K, for correcting me. March 21st is Down Syndrome Awareness Day. So thank you so much for that date. I was off by a day.
All right, Chastity, she's loving it.
Right.
All right, I do see another question. This one is from YouTube. It says, I'm late. Was it discussed about scholars who have applied for services? What is the wait time?
Okay, so we have the referral process. Special education is a referral process, not necessarily an application, but you do a referral for special education. We always start with the response to intervention process. So it's a RTI process that starts where we identify and we gain data. The data is what behaviors that this student could be displaying, what academic achievements that he might not be making, or those milestones. And so we take that collection of data, and then we go through the RTI meeting. Once we get to, if that student is a tier 3 student, that is a referral to special education. That's one of the first ways. The other thing, parents are afforded the opportunity, and I don't want to put anything hidden. I want to be upfront and tell you guys, a parent can make a request for special education evaluation at any time in writing. Our due diligence as a local education agency is to either provide you a proposal for evaluation or a refusal, and both of them are provided with an explanation. And sometimes we need to see what happened, like what is going on with the student, what type of insight that you could give us on historical data, sociological data on the student to help guide you. So what is the timeline? So I'm glad you asked. The number is, it starts at 15. The first number you're going to get is 15. What happens at 15? I have 15 days to tell you whether I'm going to evaluate your student or refuse to evaluate your student, and why. And then after those 15 days, once I give you a proposal, I'm going to give you a consent to evaluate. So if we get a consent to evaluate, the next number I want you to know is 45. 45. I have 45 days to evaluate, 45 school days to evaluate your child. And so then after those 45 days, I get another number, and the magic number is 30. So I got 30 days from the date that the evaluation is to go to what Ms. Lemons told us about, and that's an ARD meeting. And so we would go to ARD and discuss if your child had an eligibility or if they did not qualify, D and Q, for special education services, and how we can support them. So the overall magic number, you said, what is the wait time? A student from beginning to end, the referral process is a 90 school day process. 15, 45, 30. The magic number is 90. Okay, so if you have any questions for us, again, we are available. You can check us out on our district webpage, on our contact information. I'm Alva Walker. I'm the Executive Director of Special Education. Ms. Reeves as school or calendar days, school days. And then the next question is, what if it's been longer than the first 15 days? Will I do it?
Okay, what if it's been longer than the first 15 days? Yes, you're doing my job now.
Sorry.
You're okay. You're okay. What if it's been longer than the first 15 days? Is that what you said, that then it will go to the 45 days?
No, within the first 15 days, I'm going to give you a proposal or a refusal to evaluate. That's the first step. So that has to be done first. So within those 15 calendar days from the time Ms. Spann has sent her letter, or we have gotten our referral process paperwork. Now, I do want to give this that we might not have said, and I don't want to muddy the waters. There are some exclusionary factors for special education. So before we can even start to test your scholar, the first thing we have to do is to exclude the fact whether they can hear or see. So they have to be able to take a hearing and vision screening. Okay, so those are some exclusionary factors. There is no way that we can go around that at all. So once we get that information in, and we try to make sure that that's done through the beginning of the referral process before your proposal or refusal to evaluate is given to you. So if it's been longer than 15 days, Ms. Spann, give me a call in the morning, okay? Call the district special education office, and we will deal with your particular scholar and your concern first thing in the morning.
Thank you so much. Now I have this says from Elizabeth, if a scholar missed out on the computer distribution, how can the scholar do one? I don't know. Did special education do one? Okay, so this is related to the Chromebook distribution. This has not occurred yet. It has not occurred yet. So communication will go out to parents when distribution is going to take place, which will be at the end of the month. A follow-up, Skyward, we had was wrong because the information was going to wrong person. Oh, well, again, Elizabeth, you don't have to worry about that. It has not, that has not taken place. So the Chromebook distribution has not taken place yet. It will occur after spring break. I hope that you have updated your information. Hopefully you have updated your information in Skyward and we have your proper information. If not, put it in this chat and I'll make sure that at least in Blackboard we have the proper information, but it does need to be correct in Skyward in order for it to stay put.
And can I just piggyback on the Skyward? One of the parts of our ARD process is to ask if the demographic information in Skyward is up to date. And so if there is a move or there's a change in address and you have an upcoming ARD, when it is asked if your demographic information has changed, please make sure that you say yes so that we can have it documented that your information needs to be changed.
Very important. Elizabeth asks, is it still okay, I guess, to apply for one? Now, if you're talking about the Chromebook, you don't have to apply for one. All scholars are going to have one. What you would have to do is opt out. If you don't want one, you let us know that. Otherwise, your scholar is going to get one. Oh, it was corrected. That's great news. That's great news. So if you want one, you will be receiving information regarding the distribution of the Chromebooks, which again will occur after spring break. All right, so Dee asks one more question. If the district decides that the scholar is not eligible for services, but outside services deems they are eligible, how is that handled?
Ms. Span, because special education is specifically designed instruction, every situation for each scholar is individualized. And so since I think that you may be talking about something that could be just individualized for your particular scholar, please, first thing tomorrow morning, give my office a call and you and I can discuss this in more detail, because there's no absolutes in special education besides we will provide a free appropriate public education to students because it's specifically designed instruction. So it is specifically designed for each kid. So if you could just give me a call first thing in the morning and we'll discuss the information with their scholar.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. All right. So I don't see any more questions. We are going to give it another minute or so and see if any other questions are posed. We have some thank yous from everyone. Awesome. We also have Mr. Graham, our Assistant Superintendent of Student Services and Administration. He was in the house. Have some good information from Miss Lincoln. And Mr. Miller, principal from Cedar Hill High School, was in the house as well. So we certainly appreciate you guys for tuning in this evening.
All right. Again, mark your calendars, March 21st, Down Syndrome Awareness Day. And the month of April, we'll light it up. One other thing we want to give you guys a plug for, we did the Polar Plunge last month to raise awareness to the Special Olympics. We had the audacity to jump in a pool on a cold February day. And so if you get a chance, you can look on NBC5 News. We were featured on the news board. It will make our fourth healthy news feature in the last calendar year. And so it's amazing to have good stuff out there. We took that Polar Plunge to help raise funds for the Special Olympics. We have over 80 scholars that participated in Special Olympics last school year that are really actively engaged in their area of athletics that's appropriate for them with their peers. And so if you get a chance, you can go. We'll also put the link for the Polar Plunge on our website as well, so you can check us out. If nothing else, we appreciate being of service to you guys. We look forward to creating bigger and better bonds with our school community as it pertains for students with disabilities. And again, Ms. Davis and the Communications Department, thank you so much for giving us this outlet to talk about special education in a great light. And in a form in which our parents can comfortably ask us questions and we're not sitting across the table from each other making decisions and they don't know whether they can trust us or not. So we do appreciate the entire school community, Dr. Hudson, and everyone for giving us this avenue to just enlighten our parents about being a parent of a student with disabilities.
Oh, thank you so much. That I couldn't think of a better way to end this. Thank you. Oh my goodness, Ms. Walker. And I don't see any other questions. So I mean, maybe it's time. Every time you see this banner, it means it's about time for us to go.
Okay.
All right, so I do want to thank everyone for joining us this evening and posing all of these wonderful questions. We really appreciate that. And thank you for taking time out of your Thursday evening to share with Cedar Hill Independent School District Special Education Office, as well as Communications and Family and Community Engagement. So thank you so much. And like she said, follow up with her office and she will get your questions answered if you have some individual, specific questions that you need answered. All right. Thank you again. And we hope that you have a wonderful evening.
All right. Good night, CHISD.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.